A good young core moving forward also is the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have a great young core. Anthony Edwards, we know, is going to be a top player in this league for many years to come because he's just that good. Thirsty, that's the movement. Thirsty.
That's his new thing?
Yeah, Thirsty. Yeah, that's the movement. They lost in the playoffs, and the player who disappointed the most in the series was D'Angelo Russell. He averaged 12 points, shot 33% from the field, 38% from three. Game 6, he was unplayable to the point that Jordan McLaughlin played over him. And Jordan McLaughlin ran the offense well. A lot of tempo, was really good defensively, paced himself, something that D'Lo failed to do. D'Lo failed to score 12 points or more in 5 of the 6 games. He scored 12 points or fewer in 5 of the 6 games in the playoffs. It was a major disappointment, and this all leads to the question, should they trade D'Angelo Russell this offseason, or should they run it back?
I think they should run it back. I think unless you're getting a star-like caliber player back, which I don't think the market is pretty high for him, the way he just stunk it up, I don't really see why you should trade him. I think coming off a year where they finally made the playoffs, it's been a long time, since the Jimmy Butler era. And even then, it hasn't been consistent. You kind of want to keep the same consistent culture in there for right now, just to build up that winning mentality, build up that edge in the locker room. And plus, he's Cat's best friend. I think you want to keep Cat happy right now. And that's the first step in keeping Cat in town. I think they had a good year. Pat Bev came in. D'Lo played well this year. He was a great leader for them this year. He did his job as a point guard in the regular season. I think in the playoffs, obviously, he didn't play too good. He was pretty shitty. But in the same sense, they made the series competitive. So, you look at it from that lens. If D'Lo plays a little bit better, then maybe we win the series. Maybe if we don't stink it up and choke 3 games, maybe we win the series. Because I know D'Lo played horrible. I know. But it wasn't just him who was blowing those leads too. So you got to kind of look at it as a whole. Like, yeah, D'Lo was bad, but we was bad in general too in a lot of those moments. So I think D'Lo should definitely give it another year, in the sense where if you're not, like, obviously, like, I don't want to say a name that's like kind of like, I don't know, if you're not getting like an all-star type of player, like, I don't see getting 2 role players, how that's really going to do anything for you. The team is clear. It's Ant's team. It's Cat's team moving forward. This is Chris Finch's first year in the playoffs. He's made mistakes. D'Lo, this is only his 2nd time in the playoffs. He's still young in that regard. This is only Cat's 2nd time. So there's still a young team in that regard of making the playoffs. So I think he should stay, give it a whole nother run. And, I'm comfortable with the team they have right now. They could obviously get a few more guys on the bench, but I think overall this team should bring back the guys they have, keep building that culture, and just make it consistent, and then worry about the rest later.
Minnesota's at an inflection point. They have not been good for a very long time. They made the playoffs in 2019. Very forgettable series. Now they're at the stage where we're relevant, we're a lot of fun, we're in the playoffs. Awesome. That's step 1. Step 2 is, how do you take it to the next level? That's what so many teams struggle with. The Jazz, they've been so much fun in the regular season, really competitive, pretty good team. But, you become disappointing after 2-3 years, even, in this case, disappointing playoff exit, because they literally could have been a number 2 seed, and they choked several games they absolutely should have won. And holistically, it was not just D'Angelo Russell. Karl Anthony Towns. I was talking before, can you build Donovan Mitchell, an elite defense around him? Can you build an elite defense around Karl Anthony Towns as your center? I highly, highly doubt that, because whatever you do with him, no matter what Chris Finch tried, was not going to fully work. And against the Grizzlies, he was, in many cases, just absolute barbecue chicken. And then, of course, the icing on the cake was D'Lo just offensively not being that guy. He wasn't the reliable guard you can go to late in games. There was, I don't know what game it was that they lost, but late he had Desmond Bain on him, and he took the controlled, not even a controlled fadeaway. It was the turnaround Kobe shot. And I wanted this, that's bad. I never want to see him take that shot again. And he's so limited. Like, is D'Angelo Russell a top 20 point guard?
What?
Is he?
Top 20?
There's a lot of good point guards in the game.
I think he's top 20. I thought you were going to say a number like top. Name me 20 right now. We do that. We do that on the show.
Pull up the NBA standings.
So 20 right now, because that was insane.
There's a lot of good point guards today. Okay, so Kyle Lowry, the here number 1 seed. Kyle Lowry or D'Angelo Russell. I want to gauge this.
D'Angelo Russell.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday.
James Harden.
James Harden.
Fred VanVleet.
Fred.
Okay, so we're at
That's
3.
3. Steph,
Kyrie Irving. Are we counting Kyrie as point guard?
Yes. Kyrie, Steph. You can take Steph.
That's
Kyrie.
5.
Or sorry, not Kyrie. Trey.
Yes. Ja. Yes.
Darius Garland.
Yes.
So Ja, that would make that 7.
That's
LaMelo
8.
Ball.
Right?
That's 8.
Okay.
Right.
LaMelo, yes, 9.
So we're at 9.
DeJounte,
CP3.
10.
Tyrese. What's that? Stop. We're at 9. Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes.
Okay, we're going east and
no,
then
Tyrese
west.
is the 2.
He's a point guard.
Okay, whatever.
So we're at 9. Cole Anthony is an interesting one.
No, it's not an interesting.
not
CP.
CP.
Easy answer.
John Morant, you guys included. We're at 10.
Yes.
Okay. And did we include Steph?
Yes.
We did.
Yes.
Okay. Luka.
Yes.
Donovan Mitchell's technically a point guard.
No, he's not. He's a
Now
2.
you're cheating.
He plays point guard.
No,
He's a
Conley
2
plays the
guard.
1. Don't
So
cheat.
so. Okay. Jamal Murray.
Jamal.
Okay.
We're at 14.
We're at 14. DeJounte Murray.
Okay.
Russell Westbrook.
No.
Okay.
No.
De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox. Next.
How you
No,
gonna
that's
just-
actually close.
Okay.
It's not as
debate.
simple
That's
as you think
Debate
it is.
column.
Damian Lillard.
Dame.
Anthony Simmons.
D-Lo.
D-Lo.
Josh Giddey.
D-Lo.
D-Lo. Don't add rookies. Don't add rookies to the list.
So we can't include Cade?
All right, add rookies to the list.
I mean, he can add. They're not better than him.
Yeah.
Cade next year will be better.
Easily.
No, I know, but Cade is he a
And what
1? Is he a
number-
2? What are we counting Cade as?
Point guard.
You want to count him as 1?
And what number are we at? Cause I kind of stopped at
16.
16. Well, we didn't include Cade. If we're including
Dame
him.
would make 7.
And we did not include DeJounte in that 16. So that's 18.
Okay.
And then I didn't mention SGA, your man.
19.
And then Kevin Porter Jr. is the last one.
No.
What the hell?
Yeah, D-Lo's better. So it's debatable with the Fox. Fox
So
is,
basically,
damn,
18th or 19th best starting point guard in the game.
that's fair.
Are you really getting that excited over it? Because he's 25. He's not very young anymore. He's been in the league for 7
Bro, he's
8 years.
25. That's very young.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's been in the league 7 or 8
being mean.
years. 7 or 8 years in the league is a long time.
It is.
Yeah, but he's like not. The prime is 27 and 32.
But I think he'll be,
He's been in the league since he was 19.
yeah, he'll be.
Yeah, but he's a player that's going to average consistently 20 to 22 and 20 to 22 points per game and 7 assists.
He'll probably be an 18, 19 guy from now on.
I don't know. It
He
depends
can't
on
score
the situation.
Well, Ant's
inside
gonna
the arc.
probably,
It depends on the situation. I mean, what's your point here?
yeah, meanie.
This is like the most volatile backcourt in basketball. And if you're trying to build a contender, if you're Minnesota, number one, they don't know who their GM is going to be next year. Right now, it's Sachin and Gupta. Maybe they have him long term. I have no idea. But ultimately, if you're trying to contend, you can't right now with D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. I think that's just on top of the fact Karl Anthony Towns is your center defensively, and as special a talent as he is on the offensive end, there are moments in the series where he just wasn't good enough, and defensively, he's just not that guy.
Wow. I mean, I don't care about the D'Lo slander. I think he deserves it after how he played. Karl Anthony Towns, though, that's a cheap shot. Karl Anthony Towns was amazing outside of game 1. He came to play. Minnesota's problem, in my opinion, he did come to play. Did you?
Amazing.
He was. Check the numbers.
Don't just
It's much deeper than
check
numbers.
numbers.
Don't be a
Late in
numbers
games-
guy.
This is what I'm going to say. Defensively, I don't think that's what lost Minnesota the series. I think what lost them the series is
They
that
choked 3 times.
their shot selection in the fourth quarter, which it has been like this all year, is sporadic. They don't have a true point guard that can slow the game down and get players into their spots. Their offense was sporadic, turnovers, bad shot selection. They let Memphis crawl back in the game that way. I understand that the defense, there's a lot left to be desired. You look at Anthony Edwards at the end of game 5 or game 4, I believe. He gambles on the steal. Like, I understand that stuff. Karl Anthony Towns is good enough to where you can make a deep playoff run with him if he's your second best player, which is what's going to happen. The problem with Utah is that they were relying on Donovan Mitchell to be their guy, where at best he's a top 15 guy in the league, which is good, but he's probably like at the 15 area. Anthony Edwards is going to be a superstar. Like, he's going to be top 8 player in the league good. He's going to be an All-NBA defender. He's going to be an All-Star starter.
Wait. What do you mean? I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Hold on. What do you mean? The difference with Utah is they're relying on Donovan as opposed to Minnesota.
Edwards is going to be way better than Donovan.
He just choked 3 times.
Edwards didn't choke.
How old is Anthony Edwards?
Edwards, he's
21.
20 years old.
Something like that.
And Donovan
He averaged
25
in his first playoffs.
But Donovan, do you remember Donovan's first playoffs?
He was 22.
Hold on.
And Anthony Edwards is 20, not 21.
No, he's 20. Yeah, that's what
I just didn't like that shot you took. I'm saying they didn't choke 3 times.
Anthony Edwards is going to be a better player than Donovan Mitchell. Okay. Anthony Edwards is going to be the best 2 guard in the league eventually. That's how good he's going to be.
The shot was very off because they choked 3 times.
So yeah, it wasn't all on Edwards.
Donovan has some experience doing that as well. Anthony Edwards is developing a ton. Defensively, year 1, not great. You're seeing the progression with him on the end. You're seeing the growth in his vision. Be great once he gets that mid-range shot, easily can be top 5 if he can develop the mid-range too, because then he's got the most smooth package getting to the rim, the burst, the athleticism. The 3-point shot won't be so important to his game if he's got the mid-range too. Easily going to be a top 5 player, but the reason why I didn't really talk about that, he's 20. We're probably like 2 or 3 years away from that. And at that point, Cat's going to be 28.
I love D'Lo. Yeah, and that's still prime age, but I love D'Lo, and I wish I could say that I feel differently, and I wish I could say that I wish they would keep D'Lo, but it just doesn't feel like this is the best fit all around with his skill set, with Edwards and Cat. Edwards talked about it, how they all want the ball in end of late game situations. They all want the ball, and that gets hectic sometimes. I think next year's a year where Cat starts to notice Edwards is the guy. He lets him fully get the keys. Cat, listen, I feel like he's gotten a lot of backlash. His first playoffs versus the Rockets, he didn't play well. In the playing game, he played bad. Yep. He made up for it, though. Game 1 versus Memphis, he played bad. He made up for it. Cat, I think, is solid enough to be your second option, and you can make a deep playoff run. And then I look at the talent they have. Jaden McDaniels is going to train with Kawhi Leonard this offseason. He's already said that. Jaden McDaniels is a guy who's developing his offensive repertoire, and don't be surprised if he is in the running for most improved player next season. I think he can make...
He'll start next year?
Yeah, I think he will start. This is what I have a D'Angelo Russell trade. I put it out on Twitter. My D'Angelo Russell trade is, most teams, it's hard to find a trade partner because most teams, they don't need a D'Lo. The Wizards, though, are the team that kind of sticks out to me because if they want to keep Bradley Beal, they have KP. Them trading for KP tells me that they're trying to actually win now. Why don't you trade for D'Lo and get a big 3 of D'Lo, Beal, and KP?
It's great because they have no ambitions. They can just be as mediocre as possible.
Joel. You know what? Let's act like Washington has a brain here.
They don't. I mean, they have the least ambition of any team.
Let's just for a second act like they have a brain. Why on God's green earth would they want to play teams with D'Lo and Bradley Beal as a backcourt guarding other teams? Why?
I'm not saying they want it, but I'm saying this is a trade package that can make sense.
For who?
It can make sense for both teams. I mean, D'Lo definitely gets there. They are a playoff team with D'Lo, Beal, and KP.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
Not in the East, bro. I don't think
they are.
East.
They are.
Look who was just a playing team.
If they're healthy, they are. And Bradley Beal showed he can play defense. And D'Lo made leaps defensively this year.
You're not
allowed, like he was a liability.
You're not
with Pat Bev and Jared Vanderbilt.
D'Lo was a main catalyst for the communication on defense, and he played well defensively. I'm just saying.
He's a good communicator with good defenders on his team.
But can I finish my trade package? The trade package is D'Lo to Washington, and Minnesota in return gets Kuzma and KCP. I think for Minnesota, it makes a lot of sense. You now start Pat Bev Edwards. I think McDaniel starts next season. You put Kuzma at the 4, who has shown in the Lakers championship run he can be a very good perimeter defender. Cat at the 5. Then off the bench, you have KCP, Vando, Beasley, McLaughlin. This is a much improved team. I still would like them to get a point guard like Ricky Rubio to set the pace of the game up. I doubt they do. But I think if they want to get rid of D'Lo, this is best case scenario, and they're fitting players around Edwards. But if the offer isn't right, they have to run it back because I believe in this team figuring things out. This past season, they went through a lot of trials and tribulations, and sometimes you got to let teams figure it out. You got to let players figure it out. Edwards likes D'Lo. He likes Cat. D'Lo is his best friend. They all mesh well together. Sometimes you got to just let these things happen and let them figure it out. So I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But if you can get players that fit around Edwards better, then I'm all for it. Yeah. But this, the Wolves are going to be fine. They're going to be fine.
Anthony Edwards will make sure it's fine. First, I want to touch on, you said if the Wizards are healthy a few minutes ago. When you have Kristaps Porzingis in your team, you're not allowed to say if and when they're healthy because, he's not going to. But secondly, with D'Lo, you can't trade him for nothing, obviously, because then you're taking a step back. And for Minnesota, at least making the playoffs for a second straight year is something. And if you trade him for nothing, Karl Anthony Towns is going to be like, WTF. You're going through one GM to another, and now you're not even keeping my guy, and the team just lost their starting point guard. And in the season, he was the one that calmly could get them into their sets. He was one of the best playmakers in the game, only averaging 7 assists, but he was that smooth presence for them, just running the offense in transition. Great passer with Anthony, Jaden McDaniels, Jared Vanderbilt, and just having that guard who can be the smooth hand. He's going to make good plays, can operate at the pick and roll, can hit shots, very volatile shot maker. And then defensively was showing some growth as a communicator and a leader in the locker room. You can't trade that for nothing, obviously. But if you can get some good wins out of him and maybe a guard that can replace him, that's a good enough playmaker, then you definitely have to have him on the market.
All this D'Lo praise, I almost forgot. You just said he wasn't top 20.
Because we're talking about the regular season versus the postseason. The regular season, he was very good. In the postseason, he was AFK. And the Timberwolves are trying to go somewhere in the postseason, but you don't want to take 2 steps back by trading him. Now you're not even a playoff team. In a Western Conference, that's going to be much better next year when you have New Orleans healthy, the Clippers healthy, the Lakers, people will always mention, of course, because the Los Angeles Lakers, and then basically all the other teams like Denver coming back a little bit better at least. So
as opposed to the East, where if you trade D'Lo, he's talking about the Wizards are going to make the playoffs. The Nets will still be here. The
D'Lo,
Hawks,
KP, that can make the playoffs.
The Hawks or Nets, you got Cleveland still going to be good. You just told me the Knicks will be better. Come on, man. Come on.
You don't think D'Lo, Beal, and KP can make the playoffs?
No.
You are insanely low on Bradley Beal.
No, I'm just not. I'm insanely low on that big 3. I really am insanely low on that big 3. I do. I don't think that big 3 is that good.
I think it's better than you think. I think it's at least a playoff team.
What if Bradley? No, he's going to stay. But there is some likelihood maybe he decides to leave. He'll get his bag first, and then he would request a trade. But we're good on that. They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. So you guys are all on the board of trading D'Lo?
No, I said keep him.
You want to keep him?
Just for a year. Another one.
If the market's not there after having an awful postseason, which is very likely, then you're going to have to keep him for a second straight year.
You got to let him run it back one more time. You got to see if it's real. You can't just be like you guys, a fluke. You got to see if it's real, run it back one more time. So let's that Minnesota culture, build it up.
He helps.
You're projecting there?
What?
You're projecting?
About what?
Because you talked about the Knicks being a fluke. Are you kind of talking about the Bulls in a sense? Because that's what's going to happen to you guys next season.
Well, we're not a fluke because we're bringing the same guys back. We're a fluke because we'll lose a guy. You guys brought everybody back. You actually got better and still sucked. So it was kind of different. So
I don't know. Reggie Bullock was a huge loss.
I told you that. And you told me Fournier was better.
No.
Yeah.
Reggie Bullock is the man.
Vid was out.
He's the man.
Yeah, I told you that.
He's the man.
That's all right.
I was listening to Draymond Green's podcast, and he talked about how Reggie Bullock is a really good wing defender.
He is.
He was was giving him a lot of praise.
You guys let him walk.
It seemed like the Lakers could have really used him this last year.
I'm tired of talking about the Lakers.
Yeah.
He got $10 million a year for Dallas.
Yeah. Well, I say that because he was on the Lakers and they let him walk.